We're going to have a very interesting speaker to kick off this afternoon's program, Brian Halligan. Brian's CEO of HubSpot. He co-founded HubSpot 6 years ago. It's a marketing and software company, for those of you who don't know it. Obviously, you're going to learn more about this pretty soon. It's a company that's in over 50 countries, has over 8,500 customers. In addition to running HubSpot, Brian has a couple of other jobs. He teaches at MIT in product and marketing, and he's an author. He's written a couple of books that we may hear some more about, but marketing lessons from the Grateful Dead and inbound marketing, get found using Google, social media, and blogs. So a lot of expertise and very willing to share it, which is nice for us here today. Those books have sold more than 50,000 copies, so it's not just a hobby, it's actually a business of sorts. In addition to writing and teaching at MIT, HubSpot, pretty interesting company. It is a company that provides an integrated and comprehensive marketing software looking at personalized inbound marketing services. So we're going to hear from Brian, and then we'll have some questions and answers. We have our Twitter question feed, hashtag LILQ. Please send in your questions. I'll monitor those on Twitter. And we have microphones here if you'd like to present viewpoints or ask questions of Brian. So Brian, it's all yours.
Okay, what are we doing here? Great. How's everybody doing? Everybody awake? All right, I'm Brian from HubSpot, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about inbound marketing, my favorite topic. The idea around this inbound marketing topic started in my prior life, and in my prior life I was a venture capitalist, and my job as a venture capitalist was to go around to the portfolio companies we had invested in and help them think about how do we grow from these little tiny businesses to how do we build a giant company someday. And when I would meet with the founders of these companies, the marketing folks, the sales folks, the founders, I would ask them a very simple question. How are you going to grow your business? What's the playbook? And they all kind of had the same playbook. And the playbook was, we're going to buy a list and do lots and lots of emailing. We're going to hire lots of sales reps and do cold calling. We're going to do Google AdWords. We're going to hire a PR firm. We're going to do sort of all these very traditional marketing things. And that's the playbook I had kind of grown up with my whole career. I felt like I was sort of a ninja at the marketing playbook. But the more I worked through the playbook, the more I saw that the playbook was actually broken, that people are sick and tired of being marketed to, and people are getting quite clever at blocking the marketing playbook out. So for example, all of us in the room probably have spam protection on our computers, which is very effective at blocking out traditional email marketing. Some of us in the room may have Gmail and use priority inbox, which is an even better way to block out these messages. We all have caller ID now, very easy to block out the cold calls. We all have DVRs. It's nearly impossible to reach a human using traditional marketing techniques. Okay, great. So that's the traditional marketing playbook. The problem is that humans are sick and tired of being marketed to, and we're all getting very clever at blocking it out. So that was sort of the first observation that led me to HubSpot in this inbound marketing thing. The second one was inspired by this guy on the left. Does he look familiar to anyone? Does anyone know who he is? Jerry Garcia, no. He's a famous guy. That's my dad. And the second observation was just sort of looking at and watching the way my dad sort of lived and shopped and learned and the tools he used in his life and sort of comparing that to the way I live and shop and learn. So I think about my dad, and we grew up around here in Westwood, about 20 minutes from here, and my dad read his mail every day. So he had a big pile of mail, and every night he would come home and he would open his mail and he would actually read it. My dad watched television. He had 7 TV stations that we would watch, and if you got the kind of rabbit ears just right, you might get 8 or 9 stations. He talked on the phone all the time. And he read 2 newspapers a day. And I just think about all of us and how different that is. I never talk on the phone unless it's my mom calling. Television is just this very different thing for me. It's mostly Apple TV and watching the Red Sox lose to the Yankees. Newspapers, definitely not anymore. mail. I open it about once a quarter. Just this radical shift in the way humans sort of live their life. And so the basic idea behind my life these days is a shift in marketing from what I call traditional kind of outbound marketing, interrupting your way into people's lives, to this new inbound marketing. How do you transform the way you market to match the way humans actually buy stuff today? And that's what we call inbound marketing. So humans are spending more time on their mobile phones, in Google, in social media sites, in Foursquare, you name it. And the idea behind inbound marketing is how do you pull them in naturally versus interrupting them with advertisements. Okay? Everybody with me? Okay. So there's a couple things I really like about this inbound marketing stuff. One thing I really like is your success with this new kind of modern inbound marketing is much more about the width of your brain than the width of your wallet. It used to be if you had a lot of money, you could get interest. You could generate interest in your business. You could take that money and you could efficiently spend it on Google AdWords. You could take that money, you could efficiently spend it on a PR agency. You could take that money and efficiently spend it on Yellow Pages. You could spend money and turn it into interest. It's much, much harder today. That money is very hard to turn into interest today. What I like about inbound marketing is it's much more about your creativity. If you can create a really interesting piece of content, a video, a blog article, you name it, that can spread, and the internet can kind of pull it. It's like wind that fills your business with, fills the sail of your business and pulls it along. Inbound marketing is much more about the width of your brain than the width of your wallet. That's one thing I really like about it. I particularly like it for small businesses, because small businesses typically have big brains and skinny wallets. Big businesses have skinny brains and fat wallets. So inbound marketing is sort of built for small businesses relative to large, in my mind. The second thing I really like about inbound marketing is the leverage model. So when I think about marketing, I think about assets and assets that a small business has. So if I think about a big business, let's take Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company's got a balance sheet. And the things on their balance sheet are cash, inventory, they have supply chain, they have all this stuff on their balance sheet. And those are assets on their balance sheet. And what they're trying to do is grow those assets over time. When I think about marketing, you've got assets too. You've got links into your website, you've got Twitter followers, you've got Foursquare, you've got all these types of new marketing assets. What I like about inbound marketing is the way these assets scale. And so here's how I kind of think about traditional marketing. So I was in the venture capital business, and here's what's everyone's got to watch me for a sec. Here's what happens in the venture capital business. The VC hands the entrepreneur a big pile of money. So here's a big pile of money. Right here. And this is the marketing strategy. This is get the shovel. This is the entrepreneur. You see the shovel. And they start, and they're big pile of money. And there's Google over there, in Google's mouth. They throw the money into Google AdWords in Google's mouth. And then the next month, zhunk. Throw it into Google AdWords. And the next month, zhunk. And who's growing? Google's growing like crazy. They're going like gangbusters, and the startup's going out of business. There's very little leverage in traditional marketing. What I like about this new marketing is you create content, and it's a permanent asset. You create a brilliant video. It lasts forever. Links into it last forever. And so new marketing scales like interest in your 401k. It scales like interest on your mortgage. The last thing I really like about this new marketing versus the old marketing is the old marketing, let's say you buy that list and you email people, you cold call people, you advertise to people. It sucks. I mean, it just sucks when people cold call you. It sucks when people email you. It sucks when people advertise to you. And if it happens to you too much, you just turn off and you hate that brand. I think new marketing, I think new humans hate marketers. And so what I want to do is help I want businesses to create marketing people love, fall in love with, brands people fall in love with. And brands that people fall in love with aren't brands that interrupt you with advertisements and cold calls and emails. It's more about creating content and pulling you in. Okay? That's what I like about inbound marketing. Now, inbound marketing in my mind, it's got two pieces. First piece is how do you pull people in? How do you get them to the front door? And the second piece is how do you get them through and buy something and become a customer? And to me, that first piece is about creating content people love. And so the best inbound marketers in my mind are the ones who are great at creating content, blog articles, ebooks, webinars, videos, menus, you name it. The more content, the better. That content pulls people in. It's not about spending money on advertising and renting space on Google or renting space on Facebook or renting space on a list or renting space in the Yellow Pages. It's about creating your own content and using that to pull people in. It's about your brain cells. It's not about your wallet. So content is the real key. What's this picture? Anyone recognize this picture? Not Facebook. It's not my dad. No. Court, what's this? That's a picture. It's a picture of the internet, and the white dots are websites. And so all of your websites are on here. And what are the lines in between the white dots? Those are links on the internet. The way I sort of think about it is the more links you have into your website, the bigger your dot. And the better your content and the more content you have, the more links you have into your site, the bigger your dot. In my mind, links are to the internet as dollars and cents are to the US economy. It's really what makes the internet work. It's what really gives you leverage. And what I think most websites are little dots around the outside. And when I think of websites, I think of, so my office is in Cambridge, Mass. And in Cambridge, Mass, we have one highway, no bus stations, a little train station, no airports. I compare that to New York City, for example. Lots of highways, big bus stations, big train stations, 3 big airports. What you want to do is move your website from Boston, Massachusetts to New York City. You want to create lots of content. Those highways in and out, those are links from other blogs. That train station, that's Foursquare. That bus station, that's Twitter. You get the analogy. And the better the content and the more content you create, the more of a magnet you become, the easier it is for people to find you. And you can build a really big business this way. So the key first step is in creating remarkable content. The second step is you pull people in with content and you pull them through with what I call context. And it's kind of a complicated term, so let me give you an example of what I mean. This guy here, he's my co-founder, Dharmesh. When Dharmesh visits Amazon, this is what they show him. I think it's very interesting what they show him. So he's a geek, and so they're showing him how to write software in Python. And he's got a toddler, and they're showing him books about how to properly raise a toddler, and then books about how to teach your toddler Python, which is a tricky thing, it turns out. I think that's fascinating. When I visit Amazon, they know a lot about me. They know I'm a Red Sox fan. They know I'm a Grateful Dead fan. They know I'm into venture capital. And the masterful thing about this is I've never met a soul at Amazon. Dharmesh has never met a soul at Amazon. But it's like they're bugging our phone. They're listening to the way we think. They know everything about us. And this is, I think, the key to context. And this is how you pull people through your business. Is what Amazon does is what everyone should do. They watch what you do on Facebook. They watch your purchase history. They watch what pages you visit, your blog comments. And based on what you do, they learn and they personalize. They learn and personalize. And this is, I think, the future of websites. When I think of websites, generation number 1 of websites was sort of a hard-coded website. Your brother-in-law built it for you. Then your brother-in-law moved to New Zealand, and you can never change the goddamn thing. Generation number 2 was more like a content management system, like a WordPress. You built a website, looks really good, you can change it and move it. I think the future of websites are these personalization engines that get smarter and learn and change, and every person that visits the website gets a very unique experience. This is where I think websites are going, and this is sort of, I think, the future of where inbound marketing is going, this idea of personalization. So the key for me is how do you create content to pull people in, how do you create context to pull people through, and that's the idea basically behind HubSpot and inbound marketing. And what HubSpot does is instead of buying email marketing and social media tools and web analytics tools and content management systems, blogging systems, marketing automation, we basically build one simple integrated system where 1 + 1 sort of equals 3, where you've got it all in one place. And that's the idea behind HubSpot. HubSpot's doing great, 6 years old. We're at about a $70 million revenue run rate, growing about 70% year over year. Company's doing great. And that's the idea behind HubSpot. Okay, how am I doing on time? Good. How much time I got?
6 minutes.
And then you give me the hook?
No, then we do questions.
Okay, 6 minutes. I'm going to skip this. Anyone know who this is? No. It's Jerry Garcia. No. It's who you don't want to hire in your marketing department. It's the CMO of Coca-Cola. And so I have a section, this is from my class at Sloan, where I go through the world's perfect marketing hire. And I'm going to hold it, though, because I don't have enough time. But I'll quickly go through it. It's kind of interesting. This lady's quite interesting. Her name's Rebecca Corliss, and she was our first marketing hire. She was an intern, and she exemplifies what I think is the first letter in the criteria, I think, for a perfect modern marketer, D-A-R-C. D is for digital native. What I think a modern marketer is it should be a digital native, not a digital immigrant. They should speak internet without an accent. So speak it very fluently, speak internet very fluently. Oftentimes they're younger, not always. A is very analytical. Marketing used to be very sort of touchy-feely, very sort of, I don't know, touchy-feely. It's much more numbers-driven now. So when I interview marketers, I say, well, I want you to bring me your favorite spreadsheet and show me a pivot table and show me some brilliant insight. And when they say they don't know what a pivot table is, that's not a good fit. R is for reach. We look for people with big reach. 2003 was about your Rolodex. 2013 is about your reach. How are you doing on Foursquare? How are you doing on Twitter? How are you doing on Facebook? How's your blog? I want to hire people and inherit their reach, people who have a big, big reach. And C is content creators. So the ultimate modern marketer are people who have tons and tons of remarkable content and are very comfortable creating content online and putting themselves out there. Okay. So to sort of summarize, a couple things. What I notice about inbound marketing is I feel like we're in the top of the first inning in this game. 99.9% of companies out there are still trying to turn dollars into interest. The problem with turning dollars into interest is every day gets a little harder. Google AdWords has become efficient, really hard to get the Facebook ads to work, really hard to get the Yellow Pages ads to work. Dollars turning into interest is getting harder and harder. The harder you push, kind of the more irritating you get in your marketing. I feel like we're right at the beginning. Very few companies do this well. Most people have their toe in the water. The problem with inbound marketing or toe in the water, it really just doesn't work. You have to sort of jump in all the way. And so what we espouse is really rethinking your marketing from scratch, embracing this new way of marketing and jumping in all the way. And the example I would give of that is, let's just say you wanted to compete with my company, HubSpot. I hope you don't, but let's say you do. And maybe you want to start blogging. So we have a blog, blog.hubspot.com. If you want to compete with our blog, it's quite interesting. What would happen is HubSpot sort of got this built-in unfair advantage. We have 100,000 links into the blog. We have 400,000 Twitter followers, huge Facebook following, tons of subscribers. So every time we publish a blog article, we have all this built-in leverage. And if you want to beat HubSpot, it's very hard. You have to climb over a bunch of people to beat us. So the name of the game for inbound marketing is you don't want to be late to the party. You want to be early and you want to jump in all the way because it can be very hard to jump over competitors. Okay, one last slide. Anyone know what this is? What's your name? Chris, you're a frigging genius. That's the Imperial Palace in Japan. Nice job. And I put that in there because it reminds me of my favorite philosopher. Does anyone know who my favorite philosopher is? Not Jerry Garcia. No, it's Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett's my favorite philosopher because what Warren says to his CEOs is what you want to do is you want to build a moat around your business. And every year you want to make it deeper and wider, and you want to put sharks in it and alligators in it and lobsters in it and make it really hard to cross that. And in my mind, the new moat, the thing that makes it really hard to compete with the business, is this inbound marketing stuff. How many links into your site? How many Twitter followers? How many Facebook fans? So let's just say we wanted to start a company and compete with Zappos. Seems straightforward, selling shoes online. We could get the funky culture. We could get the design. We could do a lot of this stuff. We get the inventory, but would be hard pressed to copy the 1 million links into their website. Be hard pressed to copy the 10 million keywords they rank for organically. Be hard pressed to copy Tony Hsieh's CEO's 6 million Twitter followers. That's the hard stuff to copy. And so in my mind, inbound marketing is the moat around your business. And it's time for companies to go from putting their toe in the water to jumping in all the way. That's all I've got. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I know you like to walk, but come sit down for a minute.
Sir.
So a few questions, and we'll take questions from the floor, and I'll get my Twitter hooked up again here. But first, I'm thinking back to the one slide you had, or several slides actually, but one I want to talk about right now. You've got the megaphone, and then you've got all the inbound kind of things happening. And we were just chatting a little bit before the session. You are the anti-advertising god. But the megaphone, we're going to have Dan Mason here tomorrow morning for the morning keynote, president of CBS Radio. He's Mr. Megaphone, and you're Mr. Anti-Advertising.
Okay.
Do you really need both, or are you the only solution that the world needs?
I think it depends. Like if I think of the megaphone model, they're all breaking at different rates.
Yep.
If I had money to deploy on the megaphone outbound model, the best one is when you're sitting on the beach and that plane goes by with the Corona ad on the back. That works. People pay attention to
exactly. No, so yesterday we had an executive vice president from Hill Holland, a big advertising agency, working with national brands. That's sort of the theme of this event. And one of the brands I work with is Dunkin' Donuts. Do you like Dunkin' Donuts?
Love it.
Okay, excellent.
Huge fan.
So the question was, okay, you're the agency, you're spending all of Dunkin' Donuts' money in advertising and marketing solutions and platforms and whatever. And we have a lot of digital people in the audience. And the question comes in, what works best? So she kind of pauses.
She doesn't know.
She said, the megaphone works best. She loves radio.
Okay.
That, you're in your car.
I gotcha.
So that's kind of your beach and seeing a Corona flag fly by.
Yeah, if I were to like rank the least broken, is I wasn't kidding, like the banner on the beach in Miami. The billboards, people still look at billboards,
right.
It turns out. Those still work. It's impossible to measure it. Then radio. I thought when I first started HubSpot that XM radio and Sirius radio, that the advertisements would die. But those platforms haven't really taken off.
No.
What has taken off, though, are more and more people take their iPhone and they plug it into their car. So the newer cars enable that. So I'm not sounding the death knell for radio, but I'm sounding a small bell that it might be coming because I don't think that trend will slow down.
So it's interesting. Another slide I was thinking about, the world's most famous person, your dad,
yes.
Wonderful person, and you, and in the different worlds. So TV is yesterday.
Yes.
But do you know personally how most Americans spend their time in the average day?
They type a lot.
They watch TV.
Yeah.
So, and I love to do this, but you know how much TV the average American watches?
I saw this one way. It's like
There's a pop quiz. Come on.
4 hours a day or
yeah,
something.
right, exactly.
Insane.
It's like 5 hours a day,
Yeah.
35 hours a week.
Sure.
And so it's an amazing amount that Americans watch. So we kind of get caught up in a lot of digital things, but that is how people spend a lot of time there. Now, definitely online video is huge growth. The inbound marketing makes a lot of sense, but it's just, we've been talking a lot, the speakers, about the path to purchase, and it's a complicated thing. But there seems like there's room for a couple of different ways to reach the consumer, and there's probably room for both the megaphone and the kind of inbound marketing solution.
I'm a Wayne Gretzky fan, and somebody asked Wayne, why are you so much better than everybody else? And
right.
Wayne's answer was, well, I skate to where the puck is going. And I just think about, if you just look at the shape of the curves and the trend lines on how people watch TV and how that's shifting, the shape is dramatic. And so it works today.
Yeah.
I mean, it certainly works. The best advertising you do is on Super Bowl because people actually watch that.
Right.
But for so many of these TV shows that you watch, people are now, there's becoming more and more of a subscription economy. People are using Netflix. The world is changing and the shape of the curve is changing. So the stuff that works today, yes, it works, but what's the shape of the curve and how does that change over time?
Right, yeah.
And so I push the envelope and I live in the future a little bit.
All right, so speaking of pop quizzes, you offer a pop quiz on your website.
We do.
And we took it. Mackenzie Loving is our vice president of marketing, so she may not approve of this, but I went ahead and took your marketing quiz. And it assesses your website. You put in your email address, you put in your website, and you get graded by HubSpot as to how good your inbound marketing health is. And we scored 82.
Yep.
What does that mean?
It's actually good news, and I'll tell you why it's good news.
Congratulations, Mackenzie.
It's a B-, and everyone can try. You can try it on your mobile phone.
Do you grade on a normal curve?
It's actually a flat curve, not a normal curve. It's marketinggrader.com, so you can grade your own. What it does is it looks you through Google's eyes and Twitter's eyes and Facebook's eyes. We look at 50 different things, we match it up and give you a score on how much mojo you have on the internet, essentially. And B- is good news, and the reason it's good news is because you got a perfect score. Let's say you got a 99, which is very hard to do. You're done. There's not much. There's no low hanging. At a B-, there's tons of low hanging fruit. There's tons of stuff you can do.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the average grade you give your MIT students?
You know, I teach this class, and they're all starting companies. They're just getting going, so their grades are actually really poor.
So we're better than MIT
You
students.
are much better.
Okay,
much better.
excellent. How about your company? What do you guys score?
We were 94.
94.
Yeah, so
no cheating? You
no
actually
cheating.
earned it? Okay.
No cheating.
Okay, so Grateful Dead, pretty
Yes.
awesome. And, you know, they had some really fun marketing lessons. I mean, going back to the 60s, I mean, they would have been so cool using all the technology you're talking about today in the 2010s. A lot of cool stuff. I mean, kind of freemium, buy the ticket, come to our concert, but that's not all. You know, we'll take care of you. You love our music, we want you to love it. So they set up little taping centers. So not only is it okay to tape, we'll help you. Plug in here and you get good sound, little facilities. Direct mailing. You know, we want to stay in touch with you. We love our fans, so give us your name. We'll send you information, send you announcements about upcoming concerts. But it had a bunch of different techniques that were really pretty cool. And you know, pre-technology, they reinvented their business model. Instead of just pushing albums as their kind of revenue model, they said, we're really about the fans, and let's do that. So how do you get in touch with the fans? You do concerts. They did a ton of concerts. It wasn't just promoting an album. They're just always out there. So they did some very, very kind of cool things. So, I mean, they didn't have a website back then, but how would they rate?
They would get an A+. They were very good at this stuff. And I'm not sure that Jerry Garcia was some marketing genius. In fact, done a ton of research on it. I'm not sure he thought about himself in a way, like a marketing way. What he was trying to do is just like, what can we do that was the best thing for our listeners?
Right.
And he was super passionate about it. And there are big fights around the table at the Grateful Dead about what they should do.
Right.
And they had a lot of business model changes. But at the end of the day, he was super passionate about what's right for the customer. And so it all kind of fell out of that. Like, he's like, okay, well, I want our customers to love us. And so they have all these concerts, and every night they played a different concert. And what was interesting about that was there were incentives for idiots like me to follow them night after night all over the country. And so we're buying the tickets. And then because they played a different concert every night, they said, well, we're kind of done with that music. Let's let them just record it and bring it with them. And so idiots like me would bring all my recording gear, we'd record the concert, go back to our dorm room, make copies for our friends. They'd play it at whatever frat party, and they'd infect people with it. And when they infect people, would be like, what is this gypsy music we're listening to? It's, oh, it's the Grateful Dead. The next thing you know, they're on tour, following around the country, buying tickets. So the whole thing just kind of worked together. What inspired HubSpot was the idea of giving away free content and using that content to pull people in. And software companies and open source companies are similarly inspired by that.
Right, of course. Yeah. So, I mean, you're passionate, and that's the secret. We're not talking about, you know, the process, the structure of a business. It's, I create value, I create delight somehow. And I mean, obviously you're passionate about what you do. Yep. And so you're, you know, infecting the world with this. You've just started a new office in Dublin.
Yep.
You got a mezzanine round, $35 million last November. Yep. Part of that's to beef up the staff a little bit, and also project internationally. You've got 5,600 or so clients now around the country, around the world, 50 plus countries, but less than 10% of your customer base is international. How do you see that growing?
I'm bullish. A lot of people say, we opened an office in Dublin, and we actually went through a long process. Should we Dublin, or should we do London or Amsterdam? And it turns out they're all very good choices. We picked Dublin for a few reasons, and just getting started. So we're at the very beginning of it, but I'm very excited about it. There's a couple things I'm excited about. The talent we've been able to get over there is terrific. And then the access to customers is terrific. And a lot of people say, oh, Europe's behind the US with this stuff. It could be. I haven't seen any science on it, but my feeling in talking to customers over there is they're not behind at all. They're right with us in terms of how they use Google and how they use social, sometimes different social media sites. But I think they're right there with us. I don't think they're behind us.
Cool.
So super bullish on it. I think people who sell to small businesses like all of us, you know, I think of Oracle, a big successful company like, let's say, Oracle, who sells to Fortune 500 or Global 500 companies. 50% of the world's largest companies are in the US and 50% are outside. And so if you do great, you get 50% of your business overseas. But if I think about all of us and small businesses, you know, 99% of small businesses are international. And so I think it's a much bigger market than the US. It's harder. You got to translate. There's all kinds of stuff you have to do. But it's huge, and so we've got our toe in the water. We're starting.
Well, I think you have more than your toe. You're doing well. I mean, you just gave your kind of state of the company 2012 report. Yep. Things are going great. Revenue's up 59% or so, or 89%, and you're at 56 million or so in revenue now.
I think we did 52 last year, and we grew 82%, and right now we're right around 70 million run rate. So it's going, knock on wood, it's going great. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut, and I found one.
I'm not sure you're a blind squirrel. And so you had talked, at one point you had kind of a goal of maybe 100 million run rate, and that's when you pushed the IPO button. Is that still kind of the number you have in mind?
Yeah, I would like to take it public at some point. Maybe early next year kind of thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any quick questions before we wrap up the session? Okay, great. Brian, thank you so much for
very
being
much.
with us today.
Thanks, everybody.